Park sat alone in his small office on orbital station Gamma 7. The lights flickered above him. They always flickered. Everything on this station was old and broken, just like his business. He was a salvage trader. He bought old ships that nobody wanted, took them apart, and sold the pieces. It was not a good job. It was not a proud job, but it was the only job he had left. His display screen showed his bank account. The number was very small, too small. In 3 months, he would not be able to pay his rent. In 4 months, he would be sleeping in the cargo bay with the broken ship parts. Rubbed his tired eyes and opened the auction feed. Every week, the Galactic Compact sold ships that had been abandoned or seized. Most were garbage, broken mining ships, old cargo haulers, sometimes a diplomatic shuttle that had seen better days. He scrolled through the listings without hope. A mining vessel starting bid too high. A cargo ship already had 12 bidders. An Orel transport probably stolen, definitely trouble. Then he saw Lot 7749. The image showed a massive cruiser. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The hull was dark, almost black, with strange symbols carved into the metal. Some parts were scorched, as if the ship had flown through fire. He read the description. Origin unknown, previous owners, consortium, crew status missing, condition hazardous. The starting bid was 1,000 credits. That was nothing. A working engine core cost more than that. A good navigation computer cost 10 times more. Looked at the bid history. Empty. No one had bid on this ship. He checked the time. The auction ended in 2 hours. Still no bids. Something was wrong. A ship this size, even in bad condition, was worth millions. The metal alone could be sold for a fortune. Why was no one bidding? He read the description again. Crew status missing, not dead, missing. A cold feeling crept up his spine. Ships did not just lose their crews. People did not just disappear in space. Something had happened on that cruiser. Something bad. His finger hovered over the bid button. The smart thing was to walk away. He had enough problems. He did not need a haunted ship with a mysterious past. But the smart thing had never made him rich. Playing it safe had brought him here, to a flickering office, counting coins and waiting to fail. He pressed the button. The next 3 days were the longest of his life. He expected someone to outbid him. He checked the auction every hour, waiting for the number to change. It never did. When the auction ended, he owned a ship that no one else in the galaxy wanted. Was waiting for him at the docking bay when the cruiser arrived. She was his assistant, his partner, and his only employee. She was also the only person who had not abandoned him when his business started failing. She was short, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and she wore the same gray jumpsuit she always wore. She looked at the approaching ship with an expression that could not read. The cruiser was even bigger than the pictures had shown. It dwarfed everything else in the docking bay. The strange symbols on its hull pulsed with faint light, like a heartbeat. "Tell me you did not actually buy this," said. "I bought it." "For how much?" 1,000 credits. She turned to look at him. Ships like this cost millions. No one sells a cruiser for 1,000 credits unless something is very, very wrong with it. "I know. The manifest says the previous crew vanished. All 12 of them do not just vanish. They are 7 feet tall and covered in scales. You cannot lose 12 of them." "I know. So why did you buy it?" Watched as the docking clamps locked onto the cruiser. The ship groaned, a deep metallic sound that echoed through the bay. "Because I am tired of being afraid," he said. "I am tired of being careful. I have been careful my whole life, and look where it got me. I am going to lose everything anyway. At least this way, I lose it while trying something crazy." Was quiet for a long moment, then she nodded. "Okay," she said. "Let us go see what killed 12." The airlock opened with a hiss of ancient air. The smell hit them first. It was old and stale, like a room that had been sealed for centuries. His flashlight cut through the darkness. Emergency lighting activated as they stepped inside, casting everything in red. The corridor stretched before them, longer than it should have been. Checked his scanner. According to the readings, this hallway was 30 meters long, but when he looked at it, it seemed to go on forever. The dimensions are wrong, said, looking at her own scanner. The internal space does not match the external hull. That is impossible. I know, but my scanner does not lie. They moved deeper into the ship. Their footsteps echoed in ways that made no sense. Sometimes the sound came back immediately. Sometimes it took seconds, as if the corridor had suddenly grown longer. Doors lined the walls, but most would not open. The few that did revealed empty rooms, crew quarters with beds that had never been slept in, a mess hall with food still sitting on the tables, untouched, a medical bay with equipment that did not recognize. This technology is not, said, examining a device that looked like a scanner but had no buttons or screens. I do not know what this is. Can you figure it out? Maybe, if I had a year on a research team. They found the bridge on the 5th level. It was massive, designed for a crew of dozens. Control panels curved around a central chair that looked more like a throne. The main screen was dark. And in the corner, hidden behind a panel that almost walked past, they found the stasis pod. It was different from modern stasis technology, sleeker, more advanced. The glass was not glass at all, but some kind of crystal that seemed to glow from within. Frost covered the surface, but they could see through it. Inside was a woman. She was human, not any other alien species. Human. Her hair was dark, her face peaceful. She wore armor that looked ancient but pristine, made from materials that could not identify. On her chest was an insignia he had never seen before. That is impossible, whispered. Stepped closer to the pod. The woman inside looked young, maybe 30. She could have been sleeping. She could have been dead. There was no way to tell. Humans have only had faster-than-light travel for 80 years, said. This ship is older than that. Much older. The technology here is centuries ahead of anything we have. So why is there a human inside? Reached out and touched the crystal surface of the pod. The moment his fingers made contact, the ship came alive. Lights flickered on throughout the bridge. Screens activated, showing data in a language he could not read. The strange symbols on the walls began to glow brighter, and the stasis pod began to hum. The crystal surface grew warm under his touch. The frost melted. Inside, the woman's eyes moved beneath closed lids. Said, backing away, "What did you do?" "I do not know." The pod split open. Warm air rushed out, smelling of chemicals and something else, something that reminded of thunderstorms. The woman inside took a breath, her first breath in what might have been thousands of years. And then she opened her eyes. They were dark and sharp, taking in everything at once. She looked at the bridge, at the glowing screens, at standing frozen near the door. Finally, her gaze settled on. When she spoke, her voice was rough from disuse but clear. "What year is it?" Told her. The woman closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them again, there was something terrible in her expression. Not anger, not fear, something worse. Grief. 10,000 years, she said quietly. I slept for 10,000 years. She climbed out of the pod on unsteady legs, moved to help her, but she waved him away. My name is Shin, she said. I am a soldier of the Terran Vanguard, and if you have awakened me after all this time, it can only mean one thing. She looked at the screens, at data that only she could read. They are coming back. The Hollow are returning. Did not know what the Hollow were. He did not know what the Terran Vanguard was. He did not understand anything that was happening. But he understood the fear in his eyes. Whatever was coming, it was worse than anything he could imagine. And somehow, by buying a ship that no one else wanted, he had put himself directly in its path. Shin did not look like someone who had been asleep for 10,000 years. Within an hour of waking, she moved through the ship like she owned it, because realized she probably did. "The Terran Vanguard," she said, her voice growing stronger with each minute. "We were humanity's first line of defense. Our fleets patrolled 1,000 worlds. Our soldiers fought in wars that shaped this galaxy." They sat in the ship's mess hall. The food on the tables had turned to dust long ago, but the water recycling system still worked. Drank cup after cup, her body desperate for liquid after of stasis. "I do not understand," said. She had been quiet since woke up, studying the soldier with suspicious eyes. "Humans only developed faster-than-light travel 80 years ago. We are the youngest species in the Galactic Compact. Everyone knows this." Laughed, it was not a happy sound. "Everyone knows wrong. Humanity did not discover space travel 80 years ago. We rediscovered it. Your history books are lies. Your understanding of your own species is a carefully constructed fiction." "That is a bold claim," said. "It is the truth," stood up and walked to the wall. She pressed her palm against a panel that had not noticed. The wall slid open, revealing a passage that led deeper into the ship. "Come, I will show you." The archive was hidden in the heart of the cruiser. It was a room filled with crystal pillars, each one glowing with soft blue light. "Data storage," explained. Each pillar contained more information than every computer on orbital station Gamma 7 combined. She activated the central display. Images appeared in the air before them, floating like ghosts. Saw humanity's true history for the first time. The first Terran expansion had begun 15,000 years ago. Humans had spread across the galaxy in great waves, building colonies on thousands of worlds. They had developed technology that other species could only dream of. They had formed alliances, fought wars, built empires. And then the Hollow came. The images showed something that could not fully understand, darkness that moved, shapes that existed between moments slipping through the cracks of reality. The Hollow consumed everything they touched, planets, ships, stars, nothing was safe. "We fought them for 1,000 years," said, her voice distant. "Every species in the galaxy united against them. It was not enough. They kept coming. They could not be killed, only contained, so we built a cage." The display showed something massive, a structure of pure energy, woven from mathematics and light, stretching across the edge of the galaxy like a wall. The cage held them back, but the cost was terrible. To power it, we had to hide ourselves, erase our technology, destroy our records, make humanity forget what it once was. "Why?" asked. "Because the Hollow were drawn to us. Something about human minds attracted them. As long as we remained advanced, as long as we remembered, they would keep pushing against the cage. But if we forgot, if we became primitive again, they would grow dormant. The cage would hold." Turned to face them. Her eyes held 10,000 years of sorrow. "We sacrificed everything to give humanity a second chance. We erased our own existence from history. We hid Earth so deep that no species could find it. And we waited, hoping that someday, when the cage weakened, humanity would be ready to remember." Tried to process what he was hearing. His entire understanding of the universe was crumbling. "The Galactic Compact does not know any of this," he said. "The Galactic Compact did not exist when we made our sacrifice. The species you know today are the descendants of those who survived the war. They have their own fragmented memories, their own myths about the Hollow. But they do not know the truth. They have forgotten, just as we intended. And now the Hollow are returning." Nodded. "The cage was meant to last 100,000 years. It has only been 10,000. Something is wrong. Something is weakening it faster than we expected." She activated another display. This one showed the ship they stood in. "This is a Sentinel-class command vessel. one of 12 built to coordinate humanity's defense. When the cage was sealed, we hid these ships throughout the galaxy. I was placed in stasis to guard this one, to wait until humanity needed us again. Why did no one bid on this ship? Asked. Why did they give it up? A dark smile crossed his face. They found this ship drifting near the rim. They thought they had discovered ancient treasure. They brought it back to their space. They tried to claim it. What happened to them? The ship protected itself. It will only serve human hands. When they tried to take control, the ship removed them. Removed them how? It transported them off the ship, all 12 of them, deposited them on the nearest habitable world with no equipment, no communication devices, nothing. They survived, but barely. When they filed their report, they called this ship cursed, haunted. They put it up for auction just to get rid of it. Stepped forward, looking at the glowing displays with new eyes. So the ship chose. It let him bid because he is human. The ship recognized a potential captain. It has been waiting for someone to claim it. Looked at. When you touched the stasis pod, you activated the awakening protocol. The ship accepted you. That is why I am awake now. Felt the weight of this settling on his shoulders. Yesterday, he had been a failing salvage trader. Today, he was apparently the captain of an ancient warship built to fight cosmic horrors. I did not ask for this, he said. No, but fate rarely asks permission. Over the following days, they explored the ship together, showed them wonders that made forget her suspicion and stare in amazement. The weapons systems could fold space itself, creating pockets of compressed reality that crushed anything caught inside. The shields did not just block energy, they absorbed it and redirected it. An enemy shooting at this ship would find themselves being destroyed by their own weapons. The engine core burned with light that had no modern name. It could cross the galaxy in weeks, not months. It did not need fuel in any traditional sense. It fed on something called stellar radiation, pulling energy from stars as it passed. And throughout the ship, technology responded to human touch. Doors opened, systems activated, displays showed information in a language that slowly began to understand. The ship is teaching you, explained. It is connecting to your mind, sharing knowledge. In a few weeks, you will understand its systems as well as I do. Ran constant diagnostics, trying to understand the technology with her modern equipment. This should not be possible, she said repeatedly. The physics do not make sense. The engineering is beyond anything we can replicate. Of course it is, replied. This was built by humanity at its peak. Your current technology is like a child's toy compared to what we once had. One night when was resting and was buried in her research, sat alone on the bridge. The central chair, the one that looked like a throne, waited for him. He had avoided sitting in it since they came aboard. Now he approached it slowly. The moment he sat down, the ship spoke to him. It was not words exactly. More like feelings, images, concepts flowing directly into his mind. The ship was happy. It had waited so long for a captain. It had been lonely, drifting in the dark, waiting for someone to wake it up. Closed his eyes and let the connection deepen. He saw the ship's memories. He saw the crew that had built it, engineers and scientists who had poured their lives into its creation. He saw the soldiers who had served on it, men and women who had died fighting the Hollow. He saw the final battle when everything went wrong. And he saw what was coming. The Hollow pressing against the cage, darkness seeping through cracks in reality, hunger that had waited 10,000 years, now stirring, now waking. When he opened his eyes, was standing in front of him, looking worried. You were gone for 3 hours, she said. It felt like minutes. The displays were going crazy. The ship was doing something to you. Looked at his hands. They felt different, stronger. He could feel the ship around him like an extension of his own body. It was showing me the truth, he said. The Hollow are real, they are coming, and somehow we have to stop them. Was quiet for a long moment. 2 weeks ago, you were worried about paying rent. Now you are talking about saving the galaxy. I know it sounds insane. It does. She sat down on the floor looking tired. But I have spent the last 3 days studying this ship. The technology is real. The archives are real. Story matches the data. So you believe her? Looked up at him. I believe that something bad is coming. I believe that we are probably the only ones who can see it. And I believe that if we run away, if we pretend this is not happening, everyone we know will die. She stood up and brushed off her jumpsuit. So I guess we saved the galaxy. What is our first step? Smiled. It felt strange, smiling in the face of cosmic horror. Says there are 11 more ships like this one, hidden across the galaxy. If we are going to fight the Hollow, we need to find them. A fleet of ancient warships, crewed by humans who have been treating the galaxy like a playground for 80 years. That should go well. Probably not, but we have to try. Nodded. Okay, I will start mapping possible locations based on the archive data, but you need to understand something. The moment we start looking for these ships, people will notice. The Galactic Compact will notice. They will not like humans suddenly having the most powerful fleet in existence. Thought about this. She was right. The other species had tolerated humans because they were weak, because they were young, because they posed no threat. That was about to change. Let them notice, he said. Let them come. We are done being the galaxy's children. It is time to remember what humanity really is. The ship hummed around him, as if agreeing. The hunt for the Sentinels was about to begin. Word traveled fast in the galaxy. Learned this within a week of claiming the cruiser. The story spread through trading posts and diplomatic channels like fire. A human salvage trader had purchased a ship that killed its previous crew. The ship worked perfectly for him. It responded to his commands, and it contained technology that made even the most advanced species nervous. The first visitors arrived on a warship. Commander Tao was 7 feet tall, covered in dark green scales with eyes like polished stones. He walked onto orbital station Gamma 7 like he owned it. His soldiers followed behind him, their weapons barely hidden. The ship you purchased belongs to the hegemony, Tal said, standing in small office. He had to bend to fit through the door. You will surrender it immediately. Sat behind his desk trying to look calm. His heart was beating fast, but he did not show it. The auction was legal. I have the documents. The ship is mine. They stole that ship from our territory. Therefore, it is our property. You are in possession of stolen goods. The claim it was found in unclaimed space. Their documents say so. Tal leaned forward, his scales rippling with anger. Human, you do not understand your position. The hegemony has 100 warships in this sector alone. Your species has nothing. You survive because we allow it. Do not test our patience. Before could respond, stepped into the room. She had been listening from the corridor. Now she walked past Tal without fear, without even acknowledging his size or his weapons. She wore her ancient armor, cleaned and polished. The insignia of the Terran Vanguard gleamed on her chest. The ship responds only to human command, she said. You cannot take it, you cannot use it, and if you try, it will defend itself. Tal studied her with calculating eyes. You are the one they found in stasis, the one who claims to be ancient. I am. You speak of a human military that never existed. You tell stories of wars that never happened. Either you are insane or you are a liar. Smiled. It was not a friendly expression. Try to board the ship, see what happens. For a long moment no one moved. Then Tal stepped back. This is not over, he said. The hegemony does not forget insults. He left with his soldiers, let out a breath he did not know he was holding. That was dangerous, he said. That was necessary. They need to understand that we are not afraid. But we are afraid, at least I am. Sat down across from him. Good, fear keeps you alive, but you cannot let them see it. The moment they think you are weak, they will destroy you. They arrived the next day. Their delegation was smaller but no less demanding. They wanted to know what the ship contained. They wanted access to the technology. They offered trade agreements, scientific partnerships, anything to get a look inside. Refused them all. The Syndicate of Orel came last. They did not make threats or demands. They simply offered money, more money than had ever imagined, enough to buy a dozen space stations, enough to live in luxury for 100 lifetimes. Name your price, their representative said. He was a thin creature with pale skin and too many fingers. Whatever you want, we can provide it. The ship is not for sale. Everything is for sale. You simply have not heard the right offer. Thought about it. He thought about his failing business, his empty bank account, his future that had looked so dark just weeks ago. Then he thought about the hollow, about darkness seeping through cracks in reality, about what would happen if he gave this ship to people who only cared about profit. No, he said. The representative's smile did not change, but something cold entered his eyes. You will regret this decision. After they left, came to find, she looked troubled. We have a problem. Another one. They are not just talking anymore. They are assembling a fleet at the edge of the sector, 30 ships, maybe more. Closed his eyes. They are going to try to take the cruiser by force. It looks that way. He found on the bridge of the ship. She was studying the navigation systems, planning routes to the other Sentinel locations. They are coming, he said. What do we do? She did not look up from her work. We let them come. There are 30 of them. We have one ship. We have one Sentinel. That is not the same thing. That night could not sleep. He walked the corridors of the cruiser, letting his hand trail along the walls. The ship hummed at his touch, comforting him. He found himself in the cargo bay. It was empty except for a single figure, a woman he did not recognize, working on a piece of equipment. Who are you? He asked. She turned around. She was young, maybe 25, with short dark hair and grease on her face. Oh, she said, I am a pilot, or I was before I got fired for flying too close to a warship. How did you get on board? The airlock was open. I walked in, she shrugged. I heard rumors about this ship, about humans finally having something powerful. I wanted to see if it was true. Should have been angry. She had broken into his ship, but something about her casual confidence reminded him of himself before fear had worn him down. It is true, he said, but we are about to be attacked by a fleet. This might not be the best time to visit. His eyes lit up. You need a pilot. I have never flown anything larger than a cargo shuttle. Well, I have flown everything. Freighters, transports, racing ships. Once I stole a cruiser for a bet, returned it before they noticed. That sounds like a crime. Several crimes, actually, but the point is I can fly anything, and you need someone who can fly. Studied her, she was either brave or crazy, possibly both. Why do you want to help? Her expression grew serious for the first time. I am tired of humans being treated like nothing. Every species in this galaxy looks at us like we are children. They give us the worst jobs, the worst territories, the worst treatment, and we just take it because we have no choice. She pointed at the ship around them. This is a choice. This is a chance to be something more. I do not want to miss it. Made a decision. Welcome aboard. Word spread through Orbital Station Gamma 7 that the cruiser was looking for crew. Humans came from everywhere. Mechanics who could fix anything. Engineers who understood systems that modern science said were impossible. Soldiers who had served in the minor conflicts that humans were allowed to participate in. Organized them all. She interviewed each person, checking their skills, their motivations, their loyalties. 47. she reported after a week. 47 humans willing to crew an ancient warship against overwhelming odds. Is that enough? It will have to be. Among the new crew was a quiet man named. He had been a weapons technician on a mining ship before joining them. He rarely spoke, but when he looked at the Sentinel's weapon systems, something changed in his eyes. "I have never seen anything like this," he said, his voice soft with wonder. "These weapons do not just destroy, they rewrite reality." "Can you use them?" Nodded slowly. "Give me time, I will learn." The fleet arrived 2 weeks later, 32 warships arranged in attack formation. Commander Tal's flagship led the way. "Attention, human vessel," his voice boomed through the communication channel. "This is your final warning. Surrender the ship and its technology, or we will take it by force." Sat in the captain's chair, stood beside him, was at the helm, her hands steady on the controls, monitored the weapons systems, coordinated the crew from the operations station. Response asked. Thought about everything that had brought him here. A failed business, a desperate bid, a woman sleeping for 10,000 years, a galaxy that had always looked down on his species. No response, he said. Let them come. The fleet opened fire. The first volley hit the Sentinel's shields and vanished. The energy was absorbed, converted, stored. Watched his displays with growing excitement. "The shields are at 150%. They are charging us." "What?" "Every shot they fire makes us stronger." Laughed. "I like this ship." They realized their mistake too late. They tried to retreat but was faster. She moved the Sentinel through the fleet like a dancer, cutting off escape routes, forcing them together. "Weapons ready," said. "Do not destroy them," ordered. "Just stop them." Fired. The weapons did not kill, they disabled. Engines went dark. Weapons systems shut down. One by one, the warships lost power and drifted helplessly in space. 32 ships, disabled in less than an hour, without a single death. Commander Tal's flagship was the last to go dark, opened a communication channel. "This is Captain Park of the Terran Vanguard vessel. Your fleet has been disabled. You will be towed to the nearest station where you can make repairs. I suggest you use the time to reconsider your attitude toward humans." There was silence on the other end. Then Tal's voice, strained and angry. "This changes nothing. The hegemony will not forget." "Good, neither will we." Closed the channel. Around him his crew was cheering, was grinning, looked relieved, even seemed pleased. One Sentinel said, "One ship, we disabled an entire fleet." 11 more to find, reminded them. "The hollow will not be stopped so easily." Looked at the star map on the main display. 11 more ships, hidden across the galaxy. A threat coming from beyond the rim, and a galaxy that still did not believe them. But for the first time, he did not feel afraid. "Set course for the nebula," he ordered. "The next Sentinel is waiting." Turned toward the stars and began to move. The hunt continued. The nebula was a death trap. Every species in the galaxy knew this. The radiation was so intense that modern ships could only survive minutes inside. Sensors failed. Shields collapsed. Crews died screaming as their ships melted around them. Passed through without harm. Guided the ship through clouds of burning gas and waves of deadly energy. The ancient shields held steady. The radiation that would have killed them instantly was absorbed and converted to power. "I am reading the second Sentinel," reported from her station. "It is deep inside the nebula near the core." "How did anyone hide a ship here?" asked. "That was the point," said. "The nebula was created during the war. It was a battlefield. The radiation is from weapons that were fired thousands of years ago. We knew no species would dare enter." They found the second Sentinel drifting in a pocket of calm space. It was identical to, dark and massive and covered in the same ancient symbols. "No life signs," said. The stasis pods are empty, the crew is gone. They would have woken when the cage started failing, explained. Without a new crew, they could not continue the mission. They probably died trying to reach civilization. Boarding the empty Sentinel felt like walking through a grave. Led a small team through the corridors. The lights came on as they approached, responding to their human presence. The ship systems were intact. The weapons, the shields, the engines. Everything worked perfectly, preserved for 10,000 years. "We need a crew," said. "We barely have enough people for one ship," reminded him. "Then we need more people." It took 3 days to bring the second Sentinel online. Worked without sleep, connecting systems and running diagnostics. When she was done, the ship responded to commands just like. "We need a captain for this vessel," said. Thought about his crew. 47 people, most of them untested, but one name came to mind. He said, "He understands the weapons better than anyone. He can command the second ship." Accepted the responsibility without hesitation. He was a quiet man, but his eyes held a fire that had come to trust. "I will not fail you," said. "I know." They split the crew between the two ships. 23 on, 24 on the second Sentinel, which named meaning star. 2 ships, the hunt continued. The third Sentinel was hidden beneath the ice of a frozen moon. The fourth was buried in an asteroid field. The fifth was locked in a decaying orbit around a dying star. Each one they found brought new challenges. The Syndicate of Orel had spies everywhere. They knew the Sentinels were being gathered. They wanted the technology for themselves. The trap was set at the sixth Sentinel. The ship was floating in an empty region of space, far from any system. It looked abandoned, dormant, waiting. But as approached, noticed something wrong. "Energy readings," she said. "That ship is not asleep. Something is powering it." The Syndicate had gotten there first. They had crewed the Sentinel with mercenaries and pirates, using technology they did not understand to make the ship respond. "How is that possible?" demanded. "The Sentinels only respond to humans." "They found a way to trick the systems," said, her voice grim. "It will not last. The ship will reject them eventually, but right now they have control." The mercenary Sentinel opened fire. Moved to intercept, shields flaring as the weapons struck, brought around trying to find a weakness. The two ships circled each other in a deadly dance. "We cannot destroy it," said. "We need that ship." "Then we board it," replied. The fighting was brutal. Had never been a soldier, but he led the boarding team anyway. He could not ask others to do what he was not willing to do himself. The mercenaries were well-armed and desperate. They knew that failure meant death. They fought like cornered animals. Stayed on, flying circles around the enemy ship, keeping its weapons focused on her rather than the boarding party. Provided covering fire from precision strikes that took out weapon emplacements without damaging the hull. Inside the captured Sentinel, the corridors had become the ship itself seemed to be fighting against its unwanted crew. Doors sealed themselves, trapping mercenaries. Systems failed at critical moments. It was as if the vessel was helping the boarding party. Found the bridge after an hour of fighting. The mercenary captain was waiting for him, a weapon pressed against the head of a hostage. "Stop right there," the captain said. He was a man with dead eyes. "One more step and I kill her." The hostage was a young woman in a maintenance uniform. One of the crew the mercenaries had captured from a passing freighter. Her eyes were wide with terror. "Let her go," said. "This is over." "It is over when I say it is over. You think you can just take these ships? You think the Syndicate will let you build a fleet? They will hunt you down. They will destroy everything you love." Behind the mercenary captain, a console began to glow. The Sentinel was waking up. Understood what was happening. The ship had been fighting against its captors this whole time. Now, with a human crew on board, it was ready to act. "You should not have come here," said quietly. This ship does not belong to you. It never did." The captain laughed. "And it belongs to you, a failed salvage trader, a nobody." "Yes, it does." The console exploded with light. The captain was thrown backward, his weapon flying from his hand. The hostage fell to the floor, unharmed, and the ship's voice echoed through the bridge. "Unauthorized crew removed. Welcome, Captain." The mercenaries throughout the ship experienced the same thing. One moment they were fighting. The next, they were being transported off the vessel, deposited in escape pods that launched automatically toward the nearest station. The Sentinel was free. 6 ships halfway there. But the hunt was taking its toll. Had not slept properly in weeks. His dreams were filled with images of the Hollow pressing against their prison, hungry and patient. The ship shared its fears with him, and he could not escape them. Found him on the observation deck one night, staring at the stars. "You need to rest," she said. "I cannot. Every time I close my eyes I see them, the Hollow waiting." "The cage will hold," said so. "Is scared too. She hides it well, but I can see it. Whatever is coming, it is worse than she wants us to know." Sat down beside him. "When we started this, I thought you were crazy. Buying a ship no one wanted, believing stories about ancient wars, but you were right, about all of it. Being right does not help if we cannot stop what is coming. Then we find more ships. We build a bigger fleet. We keep fighting until we win or until we cannot fight anymore." Looked at her. "You really believe we can win?" "I believe we have to try. That is enough." The 7th Sentinel was guarded by They had learned from their earlier defeat. An entire battle group surrounded the hidden ship, weapons ready. But did not come to fight, he came to talk. "We are not your enemies," he told Commander Tal through the communication channel. "There is something coming, something that will destroy all of us and human alike. We need these ships to fight it." Tal was silent for a long moment. "The hegemony does not believe in fairy tales." "Then look at the data. Look at what our ships have recorded. The cage is failing. The Hollow are waking. If we fight each other now, we all die together." Another silence, then Tal spoke again. "Send your data. I will examine it personally." It took 3 days of negotiation. Tal was suspicious, but he was not stupid. When he saw the evidence, he understood. "If this is true," he said slowly, "then everything changes." It is true, and yes, everything changes. Though they did not help, but they did not fight either. It was the best could hope for. The 7th Sentinel joined the fleet. 8, 9, 10, 11. Each discovery brought new allies. Humans from across the galaxy heard about the fleet and came to join. Mechanics, pilots, soldiers, scientists. People who had been waiting their whole lives for a chance to matter. The last Sentinel was the hardest to find. It was drifting at the edge of known space, in a region no species had explored. The signals from beyond the rim were strongest there, calling to the ship, warning it. When they arrived, understood why. The rift was visible, even from this distance. A tear in reality itself, darkness bleeding through like a wound. The cage was failing faster than anyone had predicted. And beyond the rift, something was moving. "They know we are here," said quietly. "They have been waiting for us." The 12th Sentinel activated as stepped aboard. It was the largest of them all, the flagship of the original Terran vanguard. Its systems were more advanced, its weapons more powerful. On its bridge, they found the final message. It was a recording made moments before the end. A woman's face, tired and determined. "If you are watching this, then the cage has failed. The Hollow are returning. You must be ready. These ships are the key. They can reinforce the cage, seal the rift, push back the darkness, but only if you fight." The recording flickered. "We gave everything to protect humanity. Our lives, our memories, our history. Do not let our sacrifice be meaningless. Remember what you are. Remember what you can become. The message ended. 12 ships, a fleet reborn. And beyond the rift, the hollow waited. The final battle was about to begin. The rift grew larger with each passing hour. Stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching the darkness spread across the stars. 600 humans crewed the 12 sentinels. Behind them, the galaxy watched with a mixture of fear and disbelief. The Galactic Compact is demanding we withdraw, reported. They say we are provoking an unnecessary conflict. They still do not believe us. They do not want to believe. It is easier to think we are lying than to accept that everything they know might end. Joined them on the bridge. She had changed since waking from stasis. The grief was still there, but something harder had grown alongside it: purpose. The cage is failing faster than I calculated, she said. We have days, not weeks. The hollow are pushing through. Can we reinforce it? The Sentinels were designed to work together. When all 12 ships link their systems, they create a network powerful enough to repair the cage. But we have to be close to the rift. We have to hold position while the repairs happen. How long will that take? Unknown. The original calculations assumed 10 ships, with 12 maybe faster, maybe slower. There is no way to know until we try. Looked at the star map. The rift pulsed like a heartbeat, growing with each pulse. Beyond it, shapes moved in the darkness, shapes that did not belong in their reality. All ships, he said into the fleet communication channel, prepare for final approach. The Sentinels moved as one. 12 ancient warships, perfectly synchronized, flying toward the edge of everything, piloted at the front of the formation, commanded from the right flank. The other ships fell into position around them. The hollow noticed. The first attack came without warning. Darkness reached through the rift like a hand, grabbing at the lead ships. The Sentinels' shields flared, pushing back against something that should not have been able to touch them. They are adapting, said, her voice tight. They remember our technology from the last war. They are learning how to fight us again. Can we hold them? For now. The battle that followed lasted 9 days. Stopped counting hours after the first day. Time lost meaning when every moment could be your last. The hollow came in waves. They were not creatures in any normal sense. They were absence, hunger given form. They consumed light and matter and thought itself. Looking at them too long made something inside break. But the Sentinels fought back. Discovered that the weapons could be modified on the fly. He shared the information with every ship, adjusting settings, finding combinations that hurt the hollow more. By the third day, they were destroying 10 times as many as before. Flew like nothing had ever seen. She predicted attacks before they happened, moved through impossible spaces, danced with death and laughed at it. When the hollow tried to surround the flagship, she broke through their formation alone, drawing them away while the other ships repositioned. On the 4th day, they lost a ship. The Sentinel called was overwhelmed. The hollow swarmed it, their darkness eating through shields and hull alike. The captain, a former mining engineer named Sarah, ordered her crew to evacuate. She stayed behind to cover their escape. Remember us, her voice came through the channel, calm and steady. Remember what we fought for. Then the connection went dark. 11 ships remained. On the 5th day, the Galactic Compact finally acted, not to help but to condemn. They declared humanity a threat to galactic peace. They demanded the Sentinel fleet stand down. They threatened sanctions, blockades, military action. Ignored them. They are scared, explained. They do not understand what is happening. Fear makes people do stupid things. Can we hold without their help? We have to. On the 6th day, something changed. A warship appeared at the edge of the battlefield, then another, then a dozen. They were not attacking, they were watching. Commander Tal's voice came through the communication channel. I have reviewed all available data. I have watched your ships fight. The hollow are real, the threat is real. A pause. What do you need? Keep other species from interfering. We cannot fight the hollow and the compact at the same time. Done. The turn to face the approaching compact fleet. They did not fire, but their presence was enough. The compact ship stopped, uncertain. On the seventh day, more allies arrived. Cruisers, Orel frigates, ships from species that had treated humanity like dirt for decades. They came not to fight the hollow, but to shield the sentinels from attack. Why are they helping? Asked. Because they finally understand, said. If we fail, there is no galaxy left to argue about. On the eighth day, the cage began to reform. The 12 sentinels, now reduced to 11, linked their systems together. Energy flowed between them, building, growing, reaching toward the rift. The darkness pushed back, but the light was stronger. The process was agony, felt every moment of it through his connection too. The ship was pouring everything it had into the repair. It would survive, but barely. On the ninth day, the rift collapsed. The cage sealed itself, reinforced by sentinel technology that had been dormant for. The hollow were pushed back, screaming in frequencies that no ear could hear but every mind could feel. The darkness retreated, and light returned to the stars. When it was over, sat in his chair and cried. He cried for Sora and her crew, for the original Terran vanguard who had given everything, for 10,000 years of forgotten sacrifice, for a species that had been made to forget its own greatness. Found him there, and she sat beside him in silence. We won, she said eventually. Did we? The cage is repaired, the hollow are contained, the galaxy is safe. For now, the cage will weaken again, they will come back. Then we will be ready. The surviving fleet limped back to civilized space. They were met by representatives from every major species, not with threats this time, not with demands, with questions. How had they done it? How had humans, the youngest species in the galaxy, possessed the technology to save everyone? Told them the truth about the first Terran expansion, about the war against the hollow, about the sacrifice that had hidden humanity's history from itself. Some believed him, some did not, it did not matter. The Galactic Compact offered humanity a seat on its ruling council. After much debate, they accepted, but with conditions. The Sentinel fleet would remain under human command, crewed by humans, answering to no authority but their own. We earned this, said when some species objected. Our ancestors paid for it with everything they had. We will not give it away. The objection stopped. 6 months later, the fleet was rebuilt. New crews were trained. New captains were chosen. Humanity was no longer the galaxy's afterthought. They were guardians, protectors, the thin line between civilization and the darkness that waited beyond. Park stood on the bridge of looking at the stars, was at his side as always, was training the next generation of commanders, was teaching young pilots to fly like demons, was leading a research team to understand the Sentinel technology better. Admiral said, it still felt strange hearing that title. Yes. New crew member just came aboard. She wants to meet you. A young woman walked onto the bridge. She was nervous but determined. Her eyes held the same fire that had seen in so many humans since the war began. Sir, she said, saluting awkwardly, I am Han. I want to serve on the Sentinel fleet. Why? Because I am tired of humanity being treated like nothing. Because I want to matter. Because this is the only place where someone like me can become something more. Smiled. He remembered saying something similar once, a lifetime ago. Welcome aboard, he said. Your training starts tomorrow. After she left, handed a report. The archive team found something interesting. In the original Sentinel logs, there was a simple notation about this ship. Looked at the document. Lot 7749, purchased by Captain Park, status, active. He laughed. A salvage trader who had been too stubborn to give up. A ship that no one else wanted. A history that refused to stay buried. "Update the logs," he said. "Status active, ready for whatever comes next." Hummed around him, pleased. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humanity was not a young species finding its place among the stars. They were an old species, finally coming home. And they were just getting started.